welcome back. This is Pittsburgh Now. I'm Chris Moore. Now we're going to talk about the minimum wage. We'll do so with Republican strategist Lenny McAllister. Mr. McAllister, how are you, sir? Good to talk to you again.
Good to talk to you as well, Charlie. God, how are you doing this morning?
All right. Well, there have been a number of demonstrations nationally. Now our state auditor general is calling for a raise in the minimum wage. What do you think it would do for working people? What do you think it would do for business? Would it stifle business if they had to pay more for minimum wage workers?
I know Eugene, and I had an opportunity to talk to him as recently as last month. I've known him for quite some time. We were classmates at Central Catholic and actually baseball teammates. So I know where his heart is on this, and I commend him. He's always been a great guy. But I caution what we have to do as Pennsylvanians. As you see the national unemployment rate start coming down, you're going to see the anxiety for jobs move from the federal level to the state level, which means that states such as Pennsylvania will be competing with other states to bring jobs and careers to Pennsylvania as more Pennsylvanians jump back into the workforce. And if you start raising the minimum wage to a point where you start scaring away future employers, we're now putting ourselves at a disadvantage. So this is something that, yes, we should look at, but we're going to have to make sure we don't expedite this too quickly and do it in a way that's more short-term than long-term, because the truth of the matter is we don't need just more jobs in Pennsylvania. We need more careers in Pennsylvania.
Well, careers at $7.25 an hour are hard to come by. These are mostly service kinds of jobs, and people complain that the minimum wage has not kept pace with inflation or productivity. What do you say to that?
I think that you can visit the argument, but again, I don't want us to get caught up in trying to push the minimum wage at $10, $11, $12 an hour and forget that people need jobs that are going to be paying $25, $30 an hour in order to buy a home, to have a car that runs, to be able to provide an adequate education for their children and be able to provide for themselves in their sunset years. These are the things that we have forgotten about oftentimes in a multiple generation sense over this recession, and I caution us from getting away from that in a long-term perspective. We're too focused on the short-term, right? And those $7 and $50 an hour jobs were never supposed to be career jobs. They're entry-level jobs that are supposed to help people work into career jobs. That has to be the focus.
The minimum wage was never intended as an entry-level job. It was intended as a platform. I've really become surprised when I hear people say that all the time, because that's just not the facts of the case. And folks are working now at 2 or 3 jobs, making this kind of money, and they're not ready for those kinds of jobs that you're talking about. They may not have the training to get those $25 an hour jobs.
Yeah, but when you have an opportunity to, for example, the McDonald's jobs, when you see people striking from fast food jobs that used to be filled with teenagers that are now being filled by people our age, that is not how this economy is supposed to work, and that's not how this economy works best. As well, in this global economy, people can no longer stay in that minimum wage job and still be able to sustain themselves for 15, 20 years. We're finding that Generation X and the millennial generation will have multiple jobs, sometimes at one time, and over the course of their careers, they're going to be shifting industry several times. Therefore, as you go into these lower wage jobs, you're going to have to make sure that you're jumping into them with the mindset that you're not going to stay here very long. You're going to gather the skills in whatever industry that is, whether that's learning customer service at a place like McDonald's, or you're doing something behind a desk that may only pay you $8 an hour. You're taking those experiences and building skills to go up the ladder to have a career, not just a job, because the world economy just doesn't work that way anymore. We're competing against too many people, too many countries, and in some instances, too many states.
Well, that's true. People should prepare themselves in that way to move up. But there are people who have been working for McDonald's 13, 14 years and don't seem to be able to make that move up. What do we do about them?
That goes back to job growth. I mean, again, there was a period of time where if you wanted to make a career at McDonald's, you can literally go from the fries to owning a McDonald's over time with persistence and training programs, et cetera. But when you start having tax policies and you start having employment policies that are in place that inhibit those type of avenues where people can go from minimum wage, entry level, to having hope and seeing a vision for themselves 10, 15, 20 years down the road, you have to not look at the symptom. You have to look at the rudimentary issue. And again, that's why I say we can revisit the issue of minimum wage, but that cannot be the primary target. The primary target has to be careers, not jobs.
All right, Mr. McAllister, thank you for your perspective. This is Pittsburgh Now.